Don Lemon shocked MSNBC when he told them what he found out about people's opinions of Kamala Harris from doing street interviews. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a very interesting interview with Don Lemon and Jen Psaki over on MS13 DNC. You may know it as MSNBC. Now, we all know who Don Lemon is, former CNN host, and now, I guess, independent journalist over on X, formerly known as Twitter. And Jen Psaki, of course, is now an MSNBC correspondent, but she used to be the White House press secretary back in 22, which is when Karine Jean-Pierre took over. Just a quick note before we get to the clip and some more things. It's interesting how there's like a pipeline or like a tunnel, a walkway, a little crosswalk between the mainstream media and politics, the White House. Okay, you have Karine Jean-Pierre. She was married to Suzanne Malveaux, who was over at CNN up until 23 last year. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary up until 22, now goes to MSNBC. Okay, you had Chris Cuomo on MSNBC, if I'm not mistaken, or CNN, one of the two, who was the brother of the governor of New York. And the list goes on. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Can we get a little bit of separation of power right there? just a tad bit, but different story. I digress. Let's get to this because this was a pretty interesting clip. Then we're going to get to an example of one of Don Lemon's street interviews. And of course, I will link to everything in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Was there anything, what did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have, listen, it depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois, on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or in the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was. Right? They weren't familiar with her. So I think she has to reintroduce herself to the public. But for him, I think that they thought that he's better for the economy. And that
him, meaning Trump, obviously, just to be on the same page and we're clear.
Again, that he gave them, that he brought money into the community and that he was on black people's side.
100%. So shout out to Trump and shout out to everybody out there that understands what's going on. That he's on black folks' side, white folks' side, everybody's side, America's side, okay? Not a foreign country side, not a foreign interest side, not some other kind of thing that doesn't help us as people, all right? Trump's a true leader rather than just being the cog and machine of Washington, D.C. And there was something I wanted to say here because I'm going to come back so you can see me clearly. Let me come back, then we're going to come right back to the video because I got one more. But I want to say this. People don't know her. They don't know anything about her. They don't know who she is because the media and Washington, D.C. politicos have done a very good job of trying to hide this lady over the past few years because they know if you put a microphone in front of her, you're going to get word salad at best. You're going to get a whole big barrel of romaine lettuce, iceberg lettuce, zero nutrition. You can't even get a sprinkle of a crouton, black pepper, corn, nothing, a tomato. No, nothing else. Just straight up non-nutrition. That's what you're going to get when you put a microphone in front of her. Okay? The passage of time, all this dumb stuff. Things that may have worked when you were 19 years old, going to Howard University, when you're writing your term paper. But in reality, when you're trying to be the president, that kind of response doesn't work. They've been hiding her. There was even talk of trying to replace her as the VP earlier this year. Do you guys remember that? I remember that very well. Because they knew they'd be right here, right now. They knew he would have to, speaking about Biden, they knew Biden would have to just drop out. He couldn't continue. He couldn't be a two-term president because he was already decrepit and pretty much, you know, on his last leg when they got him back in 19. They knew what it was from the beginning. They did not want her really to be the person. They caved in because there was a clamoring for Biden to select a black female vice president, and they did it. They could have picked anybody else other than Kamala Harris, but that's who they got. Now you got to live with it. Now, before I go too far down that rabbit hole, let's come right back. This is one of Don Lemon's interviews, street interviews, kind of like how we do, the content curators. And he's asking women their opinion on President Trump and Kamala Harris. Check it out.
How are you feeling about the election?
I'm going for Trump. I feel like every time they don't want somebody who is good for us to win, they throw somebody black in our face thinking that's going to like make us vote for the black person.
I voted for Obama because he was black. I don't want to vote for her because she's the first black woman to run for president or to win.
I don't vote.
Well, I want Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I want Donald Trump.
Why do you apologize?
Well, I know nobody likes him, but we had good times with Donald Trump.
I'm running for Trump, so.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why?
Yeah. I don't know. I just always been a fan of his, so that's what I'm.
You know what I've been able to see so far? These look like good, hardworking Americans, normal people, regular people. They're not with all the extra ridiculous, weird stuff on either side. They're just a normal person. If you see that person, you're like, oh, okay, cool. They're good. That is kind of what I'm getting. Now, once you get into the extremes, when you get extreme views. I mean, you go into the city, you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff that they think is just totally fine, that normal people like the rest, like the 99.99% of the world is normal. We don't find these things fine. When you got a guy on the ground smoking crack, blowing the crack smoke in your kids' faces as they walk by, okay, that's not okay. But to the leftists, that's totally fine. They just start right over that dude and keep going. And as a matter of fact, they may give him some money to be able to keep doing that in perpetuity. That's the difference. And that's why when you go to a liberal place, you're going to get those that support Kamala. It's not even going to be by no policy. It'll be because of her skin color and their gender and things that actually don't even matter when it comes to being a leader. But let's keep on going.
I used to be against Trump. I used to live in Virginia. I saw the bad side of it, but really moving to Cleveland, but I saw the other side of it.
So what you mean the bad side? Y'all know I'm from Virginia. So what you talking about? Charlottesville? What I got to do with Trump? Nothing at all. But of course, you know, a lot of people are successfully brainwashed by the media, so they'll believe whatever the television tells them.
I'm supporting Trump.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Because?
Because it has to change.
Yeah.
It has to change, and now I vote more for what fits me better as a person, rather than voting for the black person or voting for the first woman. So,
What do you think about Kamala Harris?
I think they say she phony and fake. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I'm like Trump saying, you know, what are you?
And like I say, regular people, we understand if somebody comes out and says they're Indian for their entire career, then all of a sudden when they want to become the president, they're black, and they go on these podcasts and they try to behave like a black person, talking about, yeah, I listen to rap music in college. I'll be watching my collard greens and things that aren't even true. It's like you're trying to put on a performance. You're not being genuine. If you can't be genuine about something like that, just your own, if you can't be genuine about who you are, then how are you going to be genuine when it comes to leading the country? We're talking about making decisions that are going to impact us. I don't trust you with your finger on the button because you can't even be honest about what race you are. Something that should seem so small in the greater scheme of things of, you know, national security and whatnot. But I digress.
You know, so I'm not feeling her. People get mad about it. I'm just not feeling her.
I don't like her the way she speaks, the giddiness, the laughing. Everything's a joke, and it's not a joke. We're in trouble.
I'm going for Trump. Kamala was on Biden's team, and I don't like Biden. Gas wasn't this high when Trump was our president. Food wasn't this high. I'm going for Trump.
There we go. Right on. So shout out to them. And shout out to Don Lemon for embracing some of what we're doing over here. I know they do street interviews with Jesse Waters and whatnot, but you really got to get out there for real and do some of this stuff and kind of abandon the old way of doing things. Don Lemon, at one point, as I close, kind of was a respected person. And I don't know what happened. I wish everybody who had a high point can go back to that point. But if you don't want to do that, then it is what it is. I don't really particularly care too much. But I'm glad that the street interviews are showing what the people are feeling, which is Kamala Harris. Who is that? She didn't do anything. I'm not going to vote for her. I'm going to vote the other way. I don't care if you black, white, Puerto Rican candy stripe. That is a good thing. And one more, I got to add one more piece. And to the black women, shout out to you. I know it's a lot of pressure to support Kamala. So if you are supporting Trump openly, that's brave. You know, a lot of your HBCU alumni, how could you do that? She's an AKA, which I know is ski week, sue woot, whatever. I don't gangbang, so I don't know none of the noises and hand gestures you guys do. But I know it's a lot of pressure on y'all to come out and speak against her. And I think that'd be a good sign for how the polls go. We're going to get a big uptick in black female votes for Trump, in my humble opinion. It's still going to be overwhelmingly high for Kamala Harris, but hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole situation with Kamala and the street interviews and MSNBC, Jen Psaki's reaction and all that good stuff? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think the writing's on the wall. I think everybody knows that Kamala has a really uphill battle to try and have any kind of success in this election. And it doesn't look good. She can't even talk to the media without having a babysitter, chaperone, a buddy, or some man. Look, if the message is, I'm a strong black woman, I can do anything, all this, that, and the third. All right, well, try doing the interview by yourself. Try doing that. You know, people are really desperate too. I'm seeing some comments on the internet talking about, well, Trump's done joint interviews too. Maybe he did an interview with Vice President, but that doesn't mean he can't do, that doesn't mean he doesn't or cannot do interviews alone. He's done plenty of interviews alone. Not only has he done interviews by himself, but he's also done long form podcasts with young guys, firing questions, comedians, everything. Theo Vaughn, Aiden Ross, all these people. Like, what are we talking about? Did he go on Joe Rogan? I think he might have went on Joe Rogan. If he didn't, he might as well go. Kamala would never do anything like that. The closest thing we got to anything like that, a long form interview podcast, was Kamala speaking to Tim Walz. That's not going to get it done. Let that man go and do things on your own. Be a big girl, put your big girl pants on. How about that? But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.